live streaming.
I hope TFR web problem doesn't reflect here.
Okay, it comes up.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Live streaming. Mr. Vijay, you are there? Mr. Vijay, are you there? Hello?
He's muted also.
Yeah, he's muted. No, he's still, I will just say ask unmute. Mr. Vijay, are you there? Can you please come online? Mansi, do you have his contact? Can you call him?
Okay, I'll try. I'll try to
Yeah,
call him.
he was just there for a while and we had set up things. Now I can't, he is muted rather. Yes, I think he is.
Hello.
Hi. So,
Hi.
okay, so we'll get it going. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me.
So we have 7 people.
Of course, some are on the YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
There are people on YouTube.
Yeah, there are people on YouTube, and I think hopefully more of them will come in. As I told you, because of our computer network being down most of the last few days, we do have problem. We did have problem putting the top properly.
Okay.
So
No problem.
So let us get it going. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's online colloquium by Mr. Vijay Dhasmana on rewilding in urban landscapes, a case study of Aravali Biodiversity Park, Gurugram. Before I even formally introduce today's speaker, I would like to thank our TFR colleague Mansi Srivatsa for proposing this speaker and also making sure that we have him here. It's indeed great pleasure to have such a distinguished speaker here. He is an eco restoration and rewilding practitioner. He has curated the forests of Aravali Biodiversity Park in collaboration with I Am Gurugram, a 380-acre actually it's a mined site along with many other eco restoration projects in Delhi NCR. Before starting this journey as a full-time rewilder, which he is right now, he was involved in the forest conservation and natural resource management in the regions of many states in India, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Northeast, and whole of Central India. And also he worked with several organizations, which includes WTI, ATI, and Global Furthers Network, and also Himalaya Trust. So with these few words of introduction about today's speaker, I now invite Mr. Vijay Dhasmana for his asset colloquium. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Dr. Satyanarayan. Thank you, Mansi, for referring this.
Thanks, Vijay, for agreeing this. Thank you so much. So nice to have you here.
Thank you. TFR, of course, is a very prestigious organization, and I hope this talk will help the idea of restoration, ecological restoration, rewilding in the country. So basically, I'll start my presentation. We are talking about rewilding in the urban landscapes, and the case study that we are going to talk about is Aravali Biodiversity Park. As has been introduced, this is a 380-acre mined site in Gurugram, what was Gurgaon earlier, in Haryana, abutting Delhi. So it's like one part of the park is Delhi. Actually, two parts of the park is Delhi, is touching Delhi. So this is next to Delhi. Yeah. Oops, sorry. So this is the lay of the land. On the right-hand side, there is a road called MG Road, Mehrauli Gurgaon Road. And you can see the urbanization touching on the eastern part. This is not facing north, but the orientation is a little different. What I was shown, so I'll go into the story that I was contacted by I Am Gurgaon, an NGO who works in Gurgaon. And they, somebody called Atal Kapoor contacted me, a dear friend, became a dear friend, and unfortunately we lost him. He contacted me and he asked if I can be part of the journey of restoring this landscape. So we had close to 8 stone crushers in this land. So the rocks, quartzitic rocks, were mined, and then they would be crushed and then sold. So the landscape was something like this. You could see, I mean, the patterns are beautiful. You can see the quartzite sedimentary, the early sedimentary rocks metamorphosed into quartzite now. This is how, in the month of September or October, this park would look. And whatever vegetation you see is Prosopis juliflora. If for the information's sake, Prosopis juliflora is one of the highly invasive plants of the world. It was brought in from Central Americas and planted on the Central Ridge in Delhi and various parts of the country. And today it has colonized large part of our grasslands, wetlands, destroying the biodiversity of all these regions. Yeah, this is how the land sits today. The pointer is on the Aravali Biodiversity Park, and on the left is the Gurugram city of Gurgaon. Then, as you can see, on the right is Delhi, that's Rajokri, and you find a beautiful patch of Aravali hills surrounding, or a kind of a buffer between Delhi and Gurgaon. This road is actually on the Aravalis. Yeah, so it is a buffer, and we have good population of leopards and hyenas and many other animals and birds in this area. Sorry, what is this? Okay, so the Aravalis, I wanted to speak a little bit about Aravalis. Aravalis are one of the oldest fold mountains in the world. The base rock is the Aravali Craton, which is about 3 billion years old, and on that is a old sedimentary rock, sandstone, and then quartzite. In the northern Aravalis, you will find a lot of quartzite visible here, like you can see in the picture, quartzitic rock hill, and you also get granite in some places in the northern Aravalis. You'll find a lot of sacred groves in the Aravalis, and here you can see a temple made on the ridge. This is another, it's called Quartz Reef. This is near Alwar or Sariska Tiger Reserve. This is a beautiful place called Jhamar Kotra, and you can see these rocks. These are quartzite, but you can see the sedimentary origin of these rocks, so marine origin of these rocks. So they were part of the marine system earlier, and then sorry, it went in a different way, and that was K3. We have some lovely forests in the northern Aravalis. We have Sariska, we have Jhir, we have Jhalana, we have Nahargarh, we have many forests in the northern Aravalis. We have tigers, we have leopards, bears, hyenas, from mammals. You have lots of reptiles, birds, maybe about 300 plus. This is Mangarbani, very close to the Aravali Biodiversity Park, and the forest that you're seeing is Anogeissus pendula, or Dhok forest. It's a sacred forest which is now privately owned. This is Jhalana forest, and you can see Boswellia serrata dominated forest. This is Sariska Tiger Reserve, and in the valleys you can see Butea monosperma or Dhak with other associates. Now, I wanted to highlight 2 points here. One was rewilding, another was Aravali. So Aravalis I have talked a little bit about. It starts from Delhi all the way to Gujarat, and in roughly about 700 kilometers it's a span. But if you see from this particular quote, we have lost a lot of Aravalis, yeah, and mostly to urbanization and degradation. And this is a very recent study. It's showing how much area, 5,772 square kilometers is a huge area that has been we have lost in the Aravalis. This is a comparative figure. Between 2015 and 2020, we have lost close to 6,686 square kilometers of forest cover in India. The true forest, not plantation, not tree cover, not green cover, but a true forest cover. This is what we have lost. This is only next to Brazil. And we'll get to this because, where you have, that's where you will see the most losses. Since 1990 to 2016, we have lost about 1.3 million square kilometers of forest, an area larger than that of South Africa, country South Africa. That's huge, according to me, very, very big. And then it would be in one of the primary forests that you see around. Unfortunately, our life is dependent on these forests. Our forest watersheds give water to these cities like Delhi, Mumbai, every place, every city you talk about. The water is coming from forests or glaciers. And this is what I was referring to. We have, this is an index of vertebrate species as to, how many we have lost. So you can see we have lost about 33%, negative 33%, since 1970 in the North Americas, negative 94% in the Latin Americas and Caribbean. Asia as well, negative 45%. So, do we really have hope? Looking at these trends, we have lost a huge biodiversity in the world today. And it seems that it is not alarming enough for policymakers to do something about it. So this is a René's quote, forests precede civilization and deserts follow them. I have struck deserts because deserts are ecology, they are ecosystems, and they are important ecosystems in their own right. Perhaps in 17th century, this, it was loosely used. But now we know that the deserts are very, very important ecologically. And so degraded systems, is this the fate of humanity? Is this where we are heading towards? Is this all our knowledge, all our power, expertise, education lead us to? This is the question that I'm grappling with, and I hope that some of you would be questioning this side also. Now, there was another term which is rewilding. Now, it's obvious, rewild, something is obvious, but there has been a lot of discussion in understanding what is rewilding, or what would be considered as rewilding. Is planting trees equivalent to rewilding? Having a green cover is rewilding. And there has been a commission set up by IUCN. About 28 scientists have sat together and kind of, created principles for what is called rewilding and what would qualify as ecological restoration rewilding. So here I've taken from a dictionary an effort to increase biodiversity and restore the natural processes of an ecosystem that typically involves reducing or ceasing human activity, and often the planned reintroduction of a plant or animal species, and especially a keystone species. Now, it's essentially ecological restoration and reducing human activity over degraded systems, something that has been degraded by human activity. So that's what is rewilding. So IUCN in its definition puts it, rewilding aims to restore healthy ecosystems by creating wild biodiverse spaces. It rebuilds ecosystems that have previously been modified by human disturbance. So that's very important, human disturbance, And I think, a lot of that figures that we have talked about, 1.3 million square kilometers or 6,772 square kilometers. Those are all human disturbances. Now, looking at, having a background of what we just went through, when I was shown this 380 acres, I mean, I don't think, my first reaction was like, wow, is it possible? Is it possible to restore this land, In terms of soil, you only had gravel because trucks used to ply, people used to put fire there, lots of grazing, and hugely scarred land. So after having visited that site many times, we came up with a vision. We said, it's no good to just plant native trees. Let's invite the forest back to the city. Gurugram, which represents new ideas. You have these multinational corporates here. You have young people here from around the country coming and working with these multinational corporates. Can we build a narrative that city, which has been responsible for exploitation of natural resources, can pave way for something as interesting as bringing a city back, forest back into the city. And my team of I Am Gurugram was convinced with the idea. We went to several forests, from Sariska to Jeer to Jhalanas and various other Aravali forests, and we kind of agreed that this is what we want to do. We also took the municipality commissioner, Sudhir Rajpal, to show him the Mangarbani forest and told him that this is our idea. We want to bring the forest into the city, or forest type into the city. We don't want to create a manicured park here. And he was like, okay, go ahead, but show us the results. And that's when we had a contract with the municipal corporation and we created our own nursery. From year to year basis, we collected seeds from the forest pockets in Delhi NCR, sometimes far remote, and germinated them. We had a small nursery. We grew something like 35 species in the first year, then 50 odd species in second year, then 80, and then 100, and so on and so forth. So we were able to add, a good diversity to the park. And then we planted it out in the ways we had learned from the forests of all these places as to where you get Boswellia serrata forest. We made a planting plan based on that and started planting it out. And then we announced to the city that we are bringing back the forests of Aravalis and come and join us. So in this whole endeavor, close to 50 schools, thousands of children, close to 70 corporates, and many, many individuals came and participated in this whole restoration exercise, of which a lot was active restoration, but there was a lot passive restoration, So year on year basis, for next 8 years, we were planting, we were carefully bit by bit planting the landscape. And as I mentioned, we got the school children involved, and IIM Gurugram was superb with it. We would first educate them what we are doing, why we are doing, and then we go into the ground and, dirty our hands. Here are some before-after pictures. So this is a mined cliff that you can see, and you can clearly see the banding that you'll find in quartzite. The vegetation that you see is mostly Prosopis juliflora. This is in 2021, roughly about 10 years later, and the vegetation is very diverse. Where the water is there in the monsoon, you have Babul or Acacia nilotica patch. Then where water flows, you have Mitragana patch. Then on the brow of the hill, you have Boswellia serrata community. On the hilltop, you have Anogenesis pendula community. Similarly, this is a seasonal water body. You can see it's in the early stage of development, 2010. And you can see the whole landscape is full of Prosopis juliflora, the Villaithecca. This is in 2016 when we started removing the Prosopis juliflora, and grasses kind of came by. We propagated them, we spread them. And this is in 2020, monsoons of 2020, with a diverse community of forest. This is another mined pit. Again, you can see Prosopis juliflora and some Saccharum bengalans of the tall grass. And this is in 2020. Mind you, we get a monsoon of about 600 mm rainfall and roughly about 15 days of rainfall. So that's the climatic condition we are talking about. Yeah, it's not like a Himalayan foothill or Western Ghats where you get a lot of rain and therefore the growth is amazing. Here, it's all rocky and the plants take really long time to grow. They would invest all their energy firstly into their root system, become robust, and then they, pull their shoots up. This is in 2011 from the park looking at the city. This is 2020. So the essential elements of protection and carefully restoring this landscape has led to creating a habitat for wild animals, from nilgai to jackal to occasional leopard visit to porcupines, civets, amphibians. We get all the 9 species of amphibians that you find in the Delhi NCR region. We have a count of about 70 species of butterflies, and we are counting more. Yeah, and lots of reptiles, lots of kinds of reptiles. eBird says about 206 species of birds, from mighty eagle owl to tiny warblers. It gives several microclimates for these species to exist. This is how in monsoon the park looks, and it has become a hotspot, and it has become a destination for people to come to learn about the flora of the northern Aravalis. Here we are seeing landscape students from CEPT University looking at the flora. We have some interesting flora from from the northern Aravalis that is rare to see in one place. And so we have good collection of about 300 species native to this landscape, from Rhytias to Boswellias to Cordias. Our main forest types were Boswellia serrata that we were focusing on, Anogenesis pendula, Butea monosperma, and Phoenix saccharum grasslands. We did a study in 2016 looking at the dominance, diversity, and frequencies of the plant species, and that time the dominance was of Acacia totalis, or another invasive species called Israeli babool, and Prosopis juliflora, and balanitis. Today, the dominance is of Anogenesis pendula. The study is still under review, so I can't put it here, but it'll be nice to see how in 10 years Aravali forest has changed. As I mentioned, it has become an educational space. Here we have JNU master's students looking at the flora. Here are some enthusiasts looking at butterflies. Unfortunately, Gurugram Municipal Corporation, they thought of creating a road through the park, a highway through the park. And we were amazed when we got a fabulous response from people who protested against the road, and it was shelved. So close to 1,400 people came on one morning and protested. And they did at their own end, dissuading the policymakers, meeting all the influential people, and taking the project away. Today, the park is managed by Hero Motor Corp. They have created lovely decks, vantage points, some directional signs. An arboretum is under process. An interpretation center is being made. Hopefully, in new cycle, we would be able to make it more friendly for people, and people could experience guided walks, programs, workshops in this space. And I would like to say that, it's one thing to plant or bring in species, and another for that particular composition or that particular community of plants to sustain themselves and restore, the new recruitment happens. In this case, what we are getting and what we have found in our recent study as well, there is a very good regeneration of some of our climax species, such as Boswellia serrata, Anogenesis pendula, Wrightia tinctoria, Eritia levis, and several others. It is, we are learning this process as to how restoration should be done. We have done it in one particular way. Time was something that we had to look into. We didn't have a lot of time. We had to show results. Up till 2015, we didn't have much to show. Our saplings that we had planted were 6 inches and 8 inches tall. So everybody would ridicule the efforts that we were putting in. And suddenly, after 2015, the whole ecology bounced back. Something happened, either those initial years of planting, the plants were kind of resting and saying we need time to stabilize. And today we are getting very good regeneration of many of these climax species. This is how the park looks today. And we have pathways in it. We have amphitheater in it. People enjoy nature walks. People love to jog here. And we hope we'll be able to meaningfully engage people to this space. In 2022, to our surprise, it was declared as a OECM site, and happily welcome this tag. Hopefully, there will be some legal provision, and the park will be protected legally in futures to come. Thank you. I think I will close here, and I will take questions if there are, or we can have more interaction.
Hi, Vijay, can I ask the question? Yeah, thank you. So one thing that I want to ask is...
Can you please introduce yourself, because I can't see you?
Oh, okay. I'm Mansi. Hi.
Hi, Mansi. Okay.
Yeah. So one thing that is a challenge is, how will these forests sustain themselves, right? Like over a longer course of time. Let's say, like we're talking about 100 years from now. Do you think that we have achieved a sustainable forest which will keep itself as it is today and get better in terms of biodiversity over the time?
Are you talking in terms of what we have done, or is it generally
Yeah, like in this particular, like whatever you guys have
in this
done
project?
so
In
far.
this project?
In this project, yeah.
In this project,
Yeah.
I think we have. I think we have picked up the structures of forests that are called climax forest in the northern Aravallis, such as Anogenesis pendula forest community, and it should sustain, is my opinion. We don't have, I can't say for sure this is how it will work. We have put up permanent plots and we are studying them regularly, and hopefully after 20 years, so it's already 12 years now, yeah, and another 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, the forest will change, definitely will change. We are managing the forest from stopping invasion into the forest, such as Prosopis juliflora is brought in by the nilgai poop, and Lantana camera is brought in by birds, mostly birds, and then jackals. So we manage that, and we hope that the forest structure matures over time and sustain itself. I don't know, because I don't think we have examples of recreating Anogenesis pendula forests in the country, or for substantial time. Like we don't have a 50-year-old restoration site. We do have a Prosopis juliflora, like the central ridge is now 100 years old, and we know for sure as to how Prosopis juliflora fares in a long span of time. But we don't have examples of Boswellia serrata forest type or Anogenesis pendula forest type. So our hope is that with this regeneration, recruitment of climax species, the forest structure will remain intact, or it will vary, it will change a bit, but not substantially.
Okay, thanks. Amazing work. Congratulations, Vijay. This is actually quite amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mansi.
Yeah, I would like to really, join Mansi and Satyanarayana in congratulating you. This looks like a miraculous transformation in just 10 years on a scale of developing such a huge mass, landscape. 10 years is like a month or probably even small, but the pictures are, are to be believing, and it's really, really great work. I have quite a few questions, but I really want to kind of ask this first, that you did mention that the area is of very low rainfall, and so is that, did you actually choose the plants, the types and so on that suits low rainfall kind of situations, or how did you start going about this?
So as I mentioned, the land that needed restoration sits on the northern Aravali. And what we did was we picked up the climax forests, or the forests that are mature in that area. It's basically like picking up colors. Those species we picked up, such as Boswellia serrata, Wrightia tinctoria, the whole community of plants we picked up, and that's what we planted, knowing very well that the climax forests are made up of these particular species. So one thing that was important was, what are we aiming at? So we were aiming at that something that is already existing.
Oh.
So when I showed you Mangarbani picture, that is 10 kilometers, aerial distance from where we are, which is an Anogenesis pendula forest. So we were picking up patches which were reference sites for us, and the species composition, and those species we are bringing into this landscape in the similar percentages that we saw them in the forest, in intact forest. So since those forests are resilient, the climatic conditions, we were hoping that what we were planting will be resilient too. And so initial few years, as I was mentioning, till 2015, it was difficult because we didn't know what were our results, They were surviving, the plants were surviving, but they were very tiny. They were browsed regularly by herbivores. And barring few species, everything else was very tiny. So what we realized that most of the time, these plants were putting in their energy into creating a robust root system and finding proper haven for their creating their microclimate, at the rhizosphere level. So yeah, so we didn't do anything extraordinary. We just picked up what was around, which was native, which was appreciated by botanists as to what composition it should be. And that's what we brought in. Because it's very difficult otherwise to create your own palette. What would be the indicator? If ecology is the indicator, then ecological examples are already there. So they are already climatic resilient. So that was our approach.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we have Sundar typed in a question, but if since he's there, you could also ask directly. Sundar, do you want to ask this question? Okay, he says his headphone has some issues, so let me read the question for him. He says, great work, and it would be wonderful to know more about newer projects that you're working on and how as individuals we can contribute.
Sundar, thank you for this question. Thank you for appreciating what we are doing. Yeah, we have several new projects. If you remember, I showed you one road, which is like a necklace between Gurugram and Faridabad and Delhi. So a smaller patch, 180 acres, we are restoring. And you can come volunteer with us. You can, if you have expertise, come give your opinion to us. We are open. If nothing else, come visit and see what we are doing.
Excellent.
We do have a volunteering program, and we are getting volunteers to help us. Unfortunately, all our forest lands next to the cities are being dumped. So in our new project, we have removed close to 400 plus trucks of plastic waste, just plastic waste. I'm not talking about construction debris. That there is more than 1,000 trucks. So the way cities treat the wild or wilderness is very unfortunate.
Yeah. In fact, there are also a couple of more questions on the YouTube, which echoing similar kind of questions or feelings. So, of course, there's one compliment comes from Abhishek Paliwal. It says, wonderful work, sir. And but another similar questions like what you just answered, the reader, the audience, participant who says joy of learning sessions, that is the name given. But the most important question for any nature lover staying elsewhere is what can I or we do in our own environments? So, he or she is asking, not necessarily coming to Gurugram or working there along with you, but what you could do just around the place where we are living in.
I think that's a brilliant question. This is one question that's even if I don't have an answer, we all should try and answer what we can do. I think firstly, we at an individual level, I think we should all support ecological restoration that is happening around you. If you get to know, if you are not able to know, then please reach out to we have created an alliance called Ecological Restoration Alliance of India. Look into their website. There are several projects around the country where people are trying their best to restore degraded landscapes. So you can support them You can volunteer with them. I think that would be the best. If you can't do that, then perhaps raise funds for them, because unfortunately there is not much funding for restoration work. And we need to do restoration at city level, we need to do at garden level, we need to do at agriculture level. I mean, and this is one kind of restoration. There are several kinds of restoration. The agricultural landscape needs a different intervention altogether. So if you have, promote organic farming, pesticide-free farming. Recent State of Birds report has mentioned that how these insectivorous, insect-eating birds have been impacted by agriculture, which is becoming more intensive, chemical and fertilizer intensive. And so we can raise our voice, we can learn, we can help in fundraising, and we can participate. I think those are the steps. Also, consumptive patterns, as I was mentioning, that all our wilderness is taken over by dumping into it. So can we raise our voice? Can we ask our municipal authorities to make them accountable? Where is our waste going? If you're in Mumbai, where is your wastewater going? Are our oceans clean? You're next to ocean. Is the ocean getting worse because of our action, because of our municipality, because of our lack of ability to treat our waste? So I think those are important questions that we can address at our own level, wherever we are, because this directly or indirectly is going into conservation of species and habitats. So from my limited experience, I can say that this is very, very important.
Yeah, it's a little bit extension probably of that question before, where you also brought in some of the contributions could also be in terms of financially supporting. So my question was you did start by quoting municipal commissioner, I think, if I heard it correctly, and kind of saying, okay, sort of green signal is given, but I'm not sure what was the financial thread that could be built between you and the governments that may be. So my question more specifically is that obviously the whole thing needs cost a lot of money and organization and so on. How did there may be, I'm sure there must be multiple channels that would have helped you, but in terms of government support, in terms of you talked about MNCs coming and helping you, sponsorships or adaptation, or you also mentioned about some of the parks, etc., were sort of built by some companies. So what is your experience in general on the part that was bringing up financial resources?
So in our case, municipality was clear that they don't want to put in money for restoration. They had already put in money for infrastructure development. They had put in money for the amphitheater, for the pathways, for the boundary wall, fencing. So that was a huge contribution from municipal corporation. Unfortunately, many a times even that is not given by the government bodies, because there is so much to do. And priorities are always, environment and ecology restoration. They are amongst the least priorities of the world at this moment. And therefore, I took pain in 5-6 slides as to show, where the world is going. We are still not investing into biodiversity conservation and landscapes conservation. So it also depends on, education. The more and more we educate our people, our policymakers, the more responsible they become towards restoring landscapes or finding ways to generate money. In this particular project, we were lucky with the team of IIM Gurgaon, who are very well connected with corporates. Initially, corporates didn't come on their own. They were personal relationships who supported very tiny monies, and then people saw merit in where the money was going in. Today, there is a lot of money actually in restoration. I mean, at least in the private scale, but the land is less available because most of the land is either with Gram Panchayat or with Forest Department. And also another big area that we need to restore is or at least bring to a level of ecological kind of resilience is the agriculture field. You know, we have a huge agricultural land in the country. Can we make them more biodiverse? Can we make them more wildlife friendly? Can we, I mean, there is human wildlife conflict, but you know, there are lesser species which are not part of the life-threatening human wildlife conflict. Can the agriculture fields be host to caterpillars, to birds, to other forms of life? So there are there can be programs, projects, funding dedicated to that, and this will happen if we educate our policymakers and the corporate leadership, or philanthropic institutions about the need that why we need to do all this. If you know, UN has declared this as a decade of ecological restoration. This has come about after a lot of struggle, because people thought, or even today, the popular idea is to plant 5 trillion trees and you're done with the climate problem, which is a very narrow approach, which is a very myopic approach to looking at the whole scenario of the world. We are not looking at biodiversity. We are not looking at the species, threatened species. We are not looking at the sustenance of urbanization or urban cities, with these forestscapes that are around us. So UN has declared this as a decade of ecological restoration. So this will peter down into our policies, and which will reflect, like India has committed for 25 million hectare restoration. We don't know what is happening there, but there is a commitment that we will restore 25 million hectares. So yeah, I hope.
Yeah,
that's to address.
That's really nice. There is a pointed question by one of the YouTube audience saying, where do you put the waste that you pick up? I think he or she was referring to that reference that you said, that the truckloads of plastic that comes and gets discarded in these places. I think one is referring to that. So they want to know, where do you put this thing, the waste that you pick up?
So we tried our best to dispose it responsibly. Part of it went, we paid a lot of money, and we were fortunate some people came forward and donated that kind of money, like in lakhs, in tens of lakhs, to process the plastic waste. But a lot of it was not possible to be processed. They were kind of mixed with the soil, and we couldn't process it, and that went into the landfill that the municipality has. Unfortunately, we have no solution, and we welcome if there are ideas which are cost effective, which we can do at our end. But more than that, I think municipality and individuals, we should come together and stop plundering of wild landscapes with plastic, with other kinds of waste, that we can stop. And meanwhile, find solutions of how to dispose them responsibly. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted temporarily.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. So, are there any other questions from either YouTube or Zoom? Otherwise, I have one maybe last question about some of the pictures that you've shown about the students, especially the school students, probably getting involved, and of course, bringing them good awareness at that age, and also getting them become partners of your noble enterprise. Do you directly sort of network with or make arrangements with the schools and schools authorities, or these students are otherwise generally kind of mobilized across the schools? How do you get the students into this program? What is the mechanism?
So when we were, the pictures that I've shown are largely during the planting season. So during a planting season, we have few days dedicated for school children to come and plant with us. Yeah. And that becomes like a big mela where different schools are contacted much before, time slots are allotted. We have to do a lot of work ourselves, to place the plants in the pits. Pits are ready. Everything is set. They have to just come and plant. So this is an exercise that we do only during the planting season. It is not done throughout the year, especially the planting one. What we do throughout the year is to take them for nature walks. We educate them on, or make them see the flora and possibly other forms of life in the landscape. So it is sometimes it is we who approach them. Sometimes it's the schools who approach us to come and get, to do a walk or so in the park.
Okay. Okay. So once again, if there are any more questions for the speaker, please feel free to directly ask him, or if you want to type in. I thought, Mansi, do you want to say anything as a kind of passing remark?
Yeah, okay. If I can share a picture that will, like Vijay has shown us a lot of pictures, so I'll just share a picture if I can.
Okay, sure. And
Um,
if Vijay can unshare, yes, he did. So maybe you can.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
I can see the screen.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is 2016. Okay, and this was one of our batches from JNU, and
But
we came to visit you.
We can't see you.
We can't see the picture per se. It is just the Explorer that we are seeing.
Oh, okay.
The list of files.
Okay,
You
1
have
second.
clicked them as yet, or maybe you. Right.
Can you
Okay.
share?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. Now we can see. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So talking about pictures, yeah. So this was one of our batches that visited Aravali Biodiversity Park in 2016.
Okay.
So this is my batch, yeah, with Professors Soumya ma'am and Rohini ma'am. And here is Vijay, and you have changed a lot. So I
Yeah.
want to say that this was one of an experience, one of a kind, and was a very impressionable experience, I'll say. I still have a very stark memory of it. So I just want to say that this work that you guys are doing is remarkable. It's amazing, it's fascinating, it's inspiring on many levels. And I just want to congratulate you. And these trips that you like these small one-day trips that we have at that park, it has a very lifelong impression. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for interacting with us, and I hope to meet you soon in person sometime and do whatever I can to help this endeavor. So yeah, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much, Mansi.
It was
It's amazing.
amazing. Thank you.
It's so nice, nice of you to share this lovely picture, and also for your nice words. So on that happy note, I think let us hope that many more like you, I mean Mansi, and others would join this great venture by Vijay, and also contribute to them in varieties of ways. In fact, some could be purely the technical so-called, or maybe connected with what kind of science that you can bring them in. Some could be purely a volunteering service, some could be financial, some could be influencing certain classes of people, maybe governments, maybe industry, and some could be just communication, publicizing, spreading the word, and so many ways by which I think we can all strengthen the hands of such, I would say, selfless individuals and organizations. And I mean, the pictures are fantastic. I mean, you don't need to speak many words. I mean, the way you're actually showed the same location separated by 5 to 10 years. It really showed what kind of work that you have done. I think from all of us at TFR, we really want to congratulate you and your team for bringing such a change, and something which is kind of measurable, which can be seen. You don't have to add, you don't have to show by numbers or plots or whatever, but it is just the pictures that will show the kind of work that you people have done. We wish once again all the best for future. I hope many more people and support will come in your way and make this planet a better place to live for all of us. Thank you once again
Thank you.
all our behalf. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was our pleasure to hosting you. Thanks once again, Mansi, my colleague, for making this possible.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Bye, Vijay. Thank you.
Bye.